So we are getting close to lunch. Before we go, we're going to have a little remembrance of Enid Wonnacott, who was the executive director of NOFA Vermont for many years. And she died this past February, I think it was, and maybe January. And it was a big loss for all the people who knew her and for many people who didn't know her, because she was such an awesome community builder in Vermont. And actually, my wife Claudia is in a choral group, and she was singing the song they're rehearsing. She's singing the song, "We Shall Be Known by the Company We Keep." And I heard it and I thought, oh, we need to sing a song at the symposium. And this would be the perfect song, because Enid always insisted that we sing a song at every gathering. And I said we could sing this song in remembrance of Enid. And of course, they just had the NOFA Winter Conference, and of course they sang a song for Enid, and she chose it before she died, and it was this song. So amazing. But before we sing the song, which we will be led by the wonderful singing group Mela, I wanted to show the short interview that we did with Enid last summer at the NOFA Summer Conference, where we asked her about some of the issues of the Real Organic Project. So.
My name is Enid Wonnacott. I'm the Executive Director of NOFA Vermont, the Northeast Organic Farming Association of Vermont. And I started working at NOFA in 1987. Kathleen Merrigan asked if I would have a meeting with Senator Leahy to talk about a national organic program and what that would look like. Did Vermont want something like that? And it was hard to say no. And have the clearest perspective of, is this something that all the farmers in Vermont are going to want? But we had a lot of respect for Senator Leahy. He really wanted us to work on, he was very fearful that a California standard or other state standards would undermine a Vermont standard and not have a level playing field. So he really asked us to work with him and bring along a farmer majority to work on the National Organic Program. Something that was really important to Vermont is that our certification program was always farmer driven. We had a really strong farmer voice, and that was really the most important thing to us, is to try to maintain farmer ownership and farmer voice in the organic certification process. We did come to the point in Vermont to say yes, we did want a national standard, but we did not want it administered by the government, the US government. We were unsuccessful. We were the vocal minority. We weren't successful at bringing along anybody else besides the Demeter Association and NOFA New York, actually. So we had to make a decision at that time. Do we try to make it the best it can be, or do we secede? But with Senator Leahy in such a strong position and wanting to work with him, and the opportunity of promotion dollars for organic and research dollars for organic that Senator Leahy discussed, we decided we would work to make the standards the best they could be. One of the things that was really interesting, if you go back to the Senate intent language, that kind of the deliberations around the Organic Foods Production Act of 1990, you look at the Senate intent language, it was always intended to be a floor and not a ceiling. And that was what we all were working towards, that there would be a level playing field, that nobody could be less strict than anybody else. But that it would not discourage growth of the movement. And this was something that the farmers in Vermont felt really strongly about. Is every year we had a farmer meeting. We had a vegetable farmer meeting, a dairy farmer meeting, maple meetings, to talk about what did we learn in the last year And what are we going to challenge ourselves to do differently? You know, do we really need black plastic? Should we use biodegradable mulch? What do we feel about antibiotic use? I mean, it was really that just such a live sharing of farmer knowledge, which is how the organic movement really was created, by farmer learning and trial and error, because it's not a movement that's come out of the university or research. It's come out of farmers and from the fields. And that was really important, to have that annual learning. And soon it was realized that it was not, the Organic Foods Production Act was not just a floor, it was a floor and a ceiling. And so you couldn't have, nobody could be more strict. So even though Vermont required stronger healthcare guidelines for livestock production, we couldn't require that, because that would be, you know, a trade barrier essentially, and work against our farmers. So I think that was a real turning point for me, because all of a sudden all of that farmer learning went out the window, and that was what organic was all about. And so what I'm excited about now is the return of strong farmer voice in organic certification standards, and farmers really asking the question, is this the movement we started? Is this the movement we want? Is there something we can do about it? So I'm hopeful that farmers like Dave Chapman and Elliot Coleman and have really stepped forward to challenge their peers to say, we have to get back in this game. We created these standards years ago, and farmers are busy, and it's not necessarily their job to watchdog, you know, administrative rules, but it's kind of come to that the farmers are stepping up and saying, this is not the movement we created. So I'm hopeful. At the other hand, I'm concerned, because I think there's a bifurcation in organic, and a loss of integrity of the label and the word. And you know, some people are giving up on organic and moving to regenerative or other words, and consumers don't understand what that means. And I was concerned about something that's called real organic, and then the other organic might feel like they're not real, and I didn't want farmers to feel victimized by something that really was out of their control, which is poor administration of a USDA program. So how do we maintain support for organic farmers who are doing a really good job? I'm speaking of the farmers that we have control over in Vermont, and farmers that care deeply about the soil, care about their neighbors, want to improve and create steward their soil to the highest quality and produce the highest quality food. And how do we support those farmers and that label and something that they work so hard to create, and not lose the strength of that? So I have some fear that all these new words are confusing to the consumer and confusing to farmers, and I don't want farmers to feel left out. And so I'm hopeful, because people are stepping up and questioning and wanting change and wanting to return to the organic that they created. And I'm an optimistic person, so I'm hopeful, but I have some concerns.
So the words to this song are in your program, if you don't happen to know it.